infrastructure workshop
is
Officially on.
officially on. If this takes long, it's Michael Bracken's fault.
Exactly.
But we're on a roll. But this is no, of course, this is important work that we do. Um, who wants to kick this off?
So, want is a strong word, but I will. No, seriously. But I think this is an important conversation to have, and to be honest, I do appreciate Councilmember Bracken asking us to do this. So frequently, when we go through the capital plan, we're really just looking at it from a budget perspective. It's part of the budget process. Um, and Colleen has done a great job of putting that together. But maybe perhaps we don't give enough detail as to what we're trying to achieve. What's the effect of the capital plan? Instead, we're just looking at the funding of it. So today, we're going to do exactly that. If you would kind of run me through just a wee bit there, Colleen?
Yep.
Since I have no button to push.
I gotcha. That didn't do anything.
So yeah, very straightforward. We're going to talk about how you resource, how you manage a capital plan. We're going to go through our infrastructure program by category. So we have 4 categories we'll walk you through. We'll give you an overview. We'll give you project details. And then we'll also show you a map of those projects. And one of the things, not that it's necessary to go through it tonight, but one of the last slides is a list of village initiatives, some of the non-construction things that we're doing. I put it there just so you understand the magnitude of work that we're doing, not just everyday work, but those big projects that we're taking on, one of which is we went over today, which is the property tax assessment and what that takes from a resource perspective. Purpose of tonight, obviously to present the program. We're going to do it over 2 fiscal years, just 26 and 27. I think it's better just to start that way if we want to go larger, and maybe that's something we can have a conversation at the council strategy session in May if you want to go the full 6 years. But the objectives, what we want to achieve today is build the decision makers, the council, the confidence in what we are doing from the infrastructure perspective. We want to explain the complexity of the work that we do and how it integrates with not just staff, but also consultants and contractors. And then ultimately, as you begin to better understand that program, be able to make informed decisions. And again, walk out of here, good discussion. We really want to have a discussion and then also ensure that the council has the ability to make future decisions as we come forward. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Colleen. As you know, she's not just our grants manager. She also is our capital improvement manager as well. So take it from here.
Thank you. I like this purpose of the capital program because I like the phrase deliberate blueprint. I think that provides some, language for the intentionality of how we build the capital program, how it's interconnected with our funding and our resources and sometimes other projects. So the objectives of the capital program are to basically put a thoughtful plan together to sustain the improvements and the investment in the village now and for years to come. The objectives on the left, you've seen these before. It's quality of life, infrastructure. We want to be timely and cost effective with our projects. We want to be fiscally responsible from a funding standpoint. We want to build our internal capacity and leverage external partners to get things done. And then obviously maintain regulatory compliance and quality standards from the village and then our other agencies that do our permitting and partner with us. And the strategic alignment is related to the 4 categories that Steve mentioned before: parks and recreation, transportation, infrastructure facilities, IT, and security, which I think you just passed one of those items today for the police department, and then fleet and equipment, something that we see every year on the capital program. Whoop, too far?
I'm not licensed for this.
Do you want me to do this one as well?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the program categories that we're going to go over today are programs in public spaces, which is the parks and recreation kind of piece to it. It's athletic fields, it's MAST, it's Paradise Park, it's Monaco Fountain Plaza. So anywhere where you see sort of the community gathering in a space that the village maintains, that's where this is held. The transportation network is primarily around street safety and roadway repaving, traffic calming devices. It is pedestrian and bicycle facilities, sidewalk repairs, And then obviously making sure that we have an ADA accessible connection where possible. Infrastructure and environment, we've talked about this quite a lot, at least yesterday, and going forward, I'm sure we still will. It's stormwater, it's beach renourishment, which we haven't done in a year or two, but will be coming up next year. And the utility undergrounding, as well as any other telecom undergrounding with that to ensure power reliability. And village facilities, it's basically this building, the community center and village hall, and we want to equip those facilities with all of the infrastructure and assets that are necessary to perform the services that we provide to the community.
And before we jump forward, and I think you all know that, I think we've mentioned this before, but all three of our buildings are coming upon with the next 3 to 4 years, our 25-year certification. So we, just as any other facility, have to do the same. So in next calendar year, 2026, we'll be putting that out to bid for someone to come in and do that assessment on our buildings. So that should be coming down the road soon.
Can we do this one?
Yeah. And so if you go back to that left side and some of those objectives of, how you effectively do a capital improvement plan, this isn't just coming up with a list of projects and doing it. This is a very complex set of steps we have to take internally, funding, externally, permitting, the list can go on. And this is what I asked Colleen to put together to show what those requirements are and then some of the challenges that we have to consider as we go through. And I can just see Fernando here kind of going back to his days in Miami Beach and kind of pulling his hair out. But I think you understand the process and the difficulty and challenges it is to do public infrastructure.
Yes, so we've divided this slide into 2 categories, resource requirements and key challenges and considerations. Those are often interrelated. But from a project standpoint, it's extremely complicated for the public sector to get a project started from ideation all the way through to completion for many reasons. There's regulatory requirements, there's notices, there's public hearings, there's approvals. But we have to really plan and program our funding because we work on an annual budget cycle where we can only appropriate the next year's funding. So we have to plan that out pretty intentionally. Internal project management capacity with a small community like ours is tough. You have a very small amount of people that can do project management, and as you've seen, we have quite a lot of projects. So we often end up contracting out some of the project management duties or owner's rep duties to consultants to help us add some capacity to our staff because we have a lot going on, which is the external project management support. We often draw from our architecture and engineering professional services pool. If you're unfamiliar, or for any of the public watching, we issue what's called a request for qualifications for engineering and architecture services. There's a bunch of different categories that we solicit for, and then when we get qualified applicants and we review them, we approve them to be used as we need them with the village, and it sort of expedites that RFP process that we would normally go through. The contract procurement and management piece spans capital and operating, so we have contractors that work for us like Brightview that do all of the landscaping, and I think US Lubes does our stormwater as well, but this is also related to the contractors that we use for those professional project management services or to do the design of the stormwater system. And then on top of that, this is related to programming funds, but synchronizing internal and external funding sources. To give you an example, there are federal and state funding sources, and then there's our local funding sources. Sometimes we can't mix those in particular ways, and sometimes we can apply for a grant for one particular task of a project, but not another. So when we put together a full funding package and stack the capital for a project, we often have to pay attention to those restraints and keep track of those.
And one of the things, and you brought it up earlier, Councilmember Brackett, is timing too. We purposely not coordinating, we purposely chose the word synchronizing because many times we have to think about how we're going to time money far in advance, case in point, 2031, 2032, to go after potential money that meets the opportunity to match money going in the future. So that's also something that she looks at very closely.
So one question that always comes up here in this room here. So why don't you just hire all the A&E professional people that you need to do the projects in-house instead of spending all that boogie money out there to the Black and Veatches of the world. Terrible people like that.
It's a question that we hear often. As you can imagine, the depth of expertise that comes with an engineering firm is really only achievable when they've specialized in that engineering, profession. So they can keep their people busy on specific tasks like modeling or transportation engineering. We have a lot of projects, but they're very broad. We don't have 20 transportation projects like you would an engineering firm. We don't have a full suite of engineers that are working on stormwater system management here because we don't have the scale for that, but we do have a lot of projects that require a large breadth of expertise. And that's just not, possible to hire 15 different kinds of engineers for all the different types of engineering that we need expertise with.
Why aren't you using more design build?
Why aren't we using more
Why
design
aren't you
build?
using more design build for a lot of your projects?
We actually do.
We do.
We actually did.
Which ones?
St. Agnes Field was done design build. We do a number of them, and we plan to do more.
The generators
That would
were,
certainly help,
yeah.
make you more efficient, and, not-
Well,
and should be passed through.
yeah, I mean, in some cases, and we look at all delivery methods whatsoever. And one of the things I wanted to go back to, and just to put what Colleen was saying in context, we have 13 different categories of A&E professionals, and we like to keep 3 in each one of those pools so that we have flexibility. There are some crossover, but generally speaking, you do the math, that's 39 different firms that we have the ability to reach out to. I think there's some crossover, about 7 of them, so we basically deal with 30 different firms that can provide us their capability. And so that gives us the extension of staff that we need. You can only imagine if we had to keep that type of talent on staff, we could not afford that sort of thing. So it works very effectively.
So to put a fine point on what you just said, and in response to the mayor's observation or question, this isn't 39 engineers, this is 39 firms filled with engineers.
Filled with engineers, some of them are landscape architects, some are planners, some are project managers, some are CEI professionals. So it's the entire gamut. It's all those skills that we've identified that we would need in small projects all the way up to a large projects. And Councilmember London just asked the question, why don't we do design build? We do. And one of the firms that does it quite well is Stantec, and they do that for just about every single one of our fields. They did it for St. Agnes.
Stantec was with our dog park, okay, was absolutely unreal. You look into it, you'll find out.
Yeah, every project is different, and I don't want to, maybe I shouldn't have brought up a firm. A certain firm does certain work. It comes down to the project manager, and we all know that. So that firm is also going to assist us on MAST, and that firm will likely assist us on when and if we get an agreement from the city of Miami to do something on Virginia Key. So we do. Trust me. I like design build when it's appropriate.
There are cases where we know what the engineering solution is going to be with great clarity. There are other cases where we're iterating what we're going to be doing, requiring that its own consultancy to help us do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a design build case.
Right. And you have to know the difference.
Yeah,
Correct.
design build isn't always faster, at least from a procurement standpoint. After the procurement, I can't speak to that, but I know from a procurement standpoint, we have to go through developing a design criteria package, which takes another firm to put that together. It has to be signed and sealed. So even if it's a small effort, it still requires us to do that. And then we have to go through what's called an RFQ process, which means that price is not considered in that RFQ process. We select someone based on their qualifications to be the design build firm. And that RFQ process, we usually don't select on the first evaluation. We usually have them come in and do a presentation. So that takes a little bit more time. And then we bring it to you to approve our selection. And then we have to go back and negotiate a fee with that firm. And then we bring that back to you for another approval.
And this is all regulatory, correct?
Yes,
That's government contract.
that's design build. So if we think design build is somehow like super quick in government, it's not.
That's statutory, isn't
That's,
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's statutory. But Colleen, I think what I'm always struggling with is when you have a 1-year capital budget
Right.
and you have projects that sequence over 3 to 5 years, the cash flow analysis, and our CFO's not here, That's the part where I kind of struggle with how you're funding these. I mean, if we have a one-year capital budget and we're looking out 5 years and you're doing a cash flow analysis and you're talking about stacking all these different grants, and when projects get delayed, like,
Right.
let's just talk about Harbor Drive for a second. I think Harbor Drive has been in discussion for probably approximately 5 years, from what I recall. So we're still not. So we're looking to build for another year. Now, the question I have is the cost structure of that project has probably escalated dramatically over that 5-year period. So when we're doing this, are we looking at the thought process of maybe we should be, as Joe discussed, maybe we should be building this with our own money and doing it as expeditiously as possible so that we're not getting caught in this long-term construction delay? And I know every project has its own life capacity, but maybe you could just talk a little bit about how
Sure.
that works, because it's pretty complicated. And I think
Yeah.
coming in as a newbie to government, I find this exceedingly challenging. So
I hear two
Well, before we go,
things. Yeah,
one
ahead.
thing I'd like, maybe we can change our phrases a little bit. This is really a cash flow analysis, is really kind of a funding approach,
Okay.
right? And it's the timing, going back, this thing right here, synchronizing internal and external funding. That Harbor Drive is the epitome of that, right? And it's how do we time what we get from other people, and when do we know to commit the money in our budget? And
There's
that's
a,
or
there's
just
a,
the best way to do it.
there's
Yeah.
a word in the industry, it's called braided funding. Generally projects that are from agencies that acquire either local, regional, or federal funding, that funding becomes braided, and what happens is that each particular funding stream has its own regulatory and financial requirements. So that in itself presents a challenge to manage. It's not just managing the project per se, but it's also funding the demands of each funding stream. Does that
Correct.
make sense?
Yeah, and
Correct.
case in point, one of the
So,
reasons why we will
that's what we
not
call
see an agreement on the JPA from the county on Harbor Drive until February is the county's going through their small and minority business evaluation right now. Because they will identify usually 20 to 25% has to be done by a small minority business. And that will be mandated as part of the JPA, that we will have to then put that into our solicitation as part of the process.
The Garden District would be another example of a similar project to Harbor Drive, right?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So we always knew we were going to have a 10% match on Garden District. And while we were going through the state contracting process with the grant agreement, we were also going through, developing our budget. And we kept putting a couple $100,000 into that project from the stormwater fund that we knew we would need for our match. And that accumulated over the course of a couple years so that we had enough to support our match, given what we thought the total cost estimate would be. That's one way we do it. For the projects that are potentially giant, like huge, like if you're going to renovate the community center, you might take out a loan. But if you're, for the stormwater program, for example, if you're dealing with tens of millions of dollars, you're not going to tax everyone $60 million all in 1 year just so you have the capital up front. And we know that. So what you end up doing is you break out your project so that you are completing what you can with the funding that you have in each year. And then you're requesting reimbursement through the funding sources in a way that complies with their requirements. For example, the SRF won't let us reimburse for more than 20 million in 1 year. So we have to watch that. To get a little bit more detailed, we've also run into issues when our consultants that work on multiple projects for us bill us for all of those projects in one invoice, but there's different funding sources attached to each of those projects. So we have to go back and ask them, hey, we need you
break
to
it
separate all that. Yeah, exactly. So there's a management piece to that that gets a little deep and complicated. Yeah.
So we basically have 3 ways that we fund capital projects. One is that initial vote on the budget the first time that we identify the project. That's obvious, right? We then have the ability during mid-year reprogramming, and we've done that. In fact, that's how we funded St. Agnes. If we do have some surplus from the year before, we'll come back to you and recommend a reprogramming of that. And then thirdly, as you've probably seen it before, if that project either gets pushed to the right or is a more than 1 year project, you'll see rollover in the capital plan. And when we purposely do that, there's 2 categories on those columns. One is a rollover, and the other one is a request for new funds. So that's because we are only authorized by state statute to budget 1 year at a time. But we're required to have a 6-year capital plan. So you can imagine that that's complex. So she's got to stay on top of that.
Steve, you have an operating budget and you have a capital budget, right? And you can't, but you can run, you can capitalize the operating budget every year, and you can capitalize the long-term project, you can capitalize the operating budget every year, and you can capitalize the capital project every year, but you can do a 5-year rolling forward budget, right?
I'm not following when you say capital.
So you're,
I mean, we capitalize capital projects.
the capital.
But we don't capitalize the operations budget. No.
You allocate funding towards the operating every year. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can do a 5-year projection on that and keep that rolling forward, which is
We
what
do,
you do
which
with
is
the
the
6-year
capital
plan.
plan, right?
Right.
And so, we try not to.
You can't earmark funds for that. That's all you're saying.
No, but we put it in, and look, and one of the things that we do, and perhaps we need to do a little bit better, is we do present that 6-year, 1+5 capital plan. We almost entirely focus on next year because that's what you're voting on.
Right.
But at the same time, we're required to pass a 5-year program. And this year was, 27 to 31, right?
Yeah.
That is part of the budget book. There is no appropriations there, but what you're stating is we intend to do this program. Right? And so perhaps that's another thing we can pay more attention to during the strategy session and the workshop, so that it's clearer that we're looking 5 years out.
Okay, and let's explain that further. When you see that somebody prints out, we have a $107 million budget.
Right.
We don't really have an operating budget of $107 million. So you want to walk people through that?
Right. So a lot of the capital program, if you remember the spreadsheets that you see during the budget process, have what Steve referred to as the rollover. You have the new appropriation from the general fund, and then you'll have stormwater, transportation, building, loans, grants. All of those are different sources of funding. The majority of the capital program recently, in the last couple of years I've been here, has been from loans that we may or may not open up, like the bond or the SRF. So I think that takes over the majority of that capital program. There was only, between the rollover and the general fund, I mean, it's less than 10 million every year, if not less than that.
We only added 4.5 million to the
Right.
capital plan this year.
Right.
And so now we know, thanks to Councilmember Vasquez, that we now have a braided capital improvement program.
We do. I like that term a lot.
It actually is a
I
good
feel
word.
like I need to have a graphic for that.
That's what I'm here for.
Is it yours? It's gonna be yours?
Braided funding. Sounds beautiful.
It is. So we wanted to talk about that in advance, just to understand, with a very small staff, very talented staff, we're able to get a lot done, but we can't do it alone. And I think that's an important thing. And I know you know that, but I just want to make sure you had an opportunity to see this and her to present it. So what we're going to do is we're going to step into the program itself. And first one we're going to talk about is our community programs and public spaces. And I'm going to have the Parks Director come up, talk through those projects as a whole. And then we're going to jump, more importantly, to the next slide, which is that spreadsheet, and you all should be able to see it there. But just talk about what we're trying to achieve here, Todd.
Sure. As we learned with St. Agnes, a joint use agreement, new field is about a 2-year process. We're well into Mast Academy now. It actually started several months ago when the manager sent Miami-Dade County Public Schools a letter that we chose to invoke a section of our joint use agreement for capital repair. They did site visits with us. They concurred that the capital repair was required, and they agreed to a 50-50 cost share for the project. Right now, we are just working to finalize the project scope and the opinion of cost for that. And we are also actively preparing the amendment to the joint use agreement. This will be the second amendment for the Mast Field. And we're looking to get that amendment approved and budget approved and move that project forward. Any more on that?
What's that?
I'll go to the next one, which is the Virginia Key Slice. That's,
And I do have to make a caveat there, that's not acquisition, we're not trying to buy any property that's meant to be agreement. So cross that out, that the word agreement. We're not trying to get anything on Virginia Key, but why don't you go ahead and just give a quick summary of what we had conversation with the city today?
yeah, we had a great meeting with the city of Miami today about a piece of property located adjacent to the water treatment plant that we feel would be a great joint use facility for both the city and for us. They've been receptive. We've been working on this over several meetings with the city, and again, Jeremy and I on Friday are headed back to the city to further this discussion, but they seem to be receptive. We're excited about it. You budgeted some funding that'll allow us to go forward on, again, a 50-50 cost share to start analyzing what could be done and the feasibility of building a field there. So we're very excited about that opportunity working with the city. Like we said in our meeting, we've worked with the Archdiocese, we've worked with Miami-Dade County Schools on these types of agreements, and our biggest neighbor, one of our second biggest, is the city of Miami, and to interact with them. And what that leads into directly, obviously, is the landfill park, which is going to be the biggest development on Key Biscayne when it comes to parks and recreation, because it's 130 acres of land, the old landfill that will be developed at some point in the future when Miami-Dade County finishes the counting and the capping and hands it back to the city of Miami. I think we're establishing a good relationship now, and we'll be in a good position when that, in the future, when that becomes a discussion of what type of parks and recreation facility that will be. And I think we're in a good place, and it's only getting better as we engage with them.
Yeah, one of the things, to address some of your concerns, Mike, I think that sometimes, projects get put on a list and then, we get a rollover, a new council, and all of a sudden, you're faced with looking at all these things and you're saying, well, I didn't have anything to do with improving North Beach access path, but they're there, and unfortunately, the way that government moves, even when we try to do it faster, but it is a long-term process. So, things that, the private sector might take a year to do, it could take 3 or 4 years because you got to get approvals, you got to, jump hoops with the county or the state or the feds. So I think that's one of the apprehensions that you get when you're faced with, here's a budget and, well, what are all these things and why haven't they been on here for so many years and why aren't they moving? And I understand that, but unfortunately it's kind of like, part of the system that we're involved with.
And a lot of,
I think that's a good point. So you'll see, we'll tell you what phase they are in the next slide.
And by the way, I mean, it happens to me too. It's like, you're like,
Where the heck
okay.
that come from? But
Yeah.
The perfect example is the one he just mentioned, the Northeast Slice. It's been in planning for 3 or 4 years because what we're looking for is just trying to get traction. We have traction now, right? But if we took that off the list, that means it takes it out of our mind. It takes us out of the focus. So have we really been planning? No. What we've been doing is we've been, well, maybe you would use the word harassing the city of Miami to say, we want to go into agreement with you. We're coming 50-50. We're waiting for someone to bite on that and actually do it. So,
And let me just add to that because it's important for people to realize yeah, we were working on the margins of it, but there was a couple of people elected over there that would not cooperate with us. So, there had to be a turnover of people in order for us to be able to, do something, hopefully that we'll be able to do something with the city, even though we've been talking about it for 10, 20 years maybe.
and we struck when the iron is hot, right? And that's exactly what we did. We haven't got any traction. I think we've got traction, and from our understanding, it should be coming up in January. And that's something that would be very exciting.
Sometimes the stars align because we align them.
Or the conditions in the entity that.
Mast Academy.
Well, a great example is what we're talking about right now. The landfill joint venture died. Our proposal for a 50-50 died in a 2-2 tie vote at the city commission in 2014. This will be a better project, but it's taken 11 years.
And likelihood of it probably won't be capped until 2030, 2029 probably, and probably construction wouldn't, if best case, again, 2031. So one of the reasons why we're going after the northeast slice is, we've got a problem with field space now.
We have had for forever.
You want to just give a quick, this could go on all night, I don't want it to, but if you can kind of give just kind of a hit, maybe some of the highlights in those, and then we'll
Sure,
jump
sure.
into the spreadsheet, which I think has
Okay.
that detail.
I will, just one other thing, for most of the grants I apply for, your project has to be in your capital improvement plan to be funded. So it's very important that it be in there, or you can't apply for the grant for it, so. I think you are, you were presented the Monaco Fountain, reimagining. We're moving forward with the library, we're excited. These are all things that you're aware of. The Calusa resurface is taking a backseat right now for Mast Academy. We're gonna get that going in the new year. Dog park rehab, Katie and I have been through it. We've been itemizing everything that we wanna do. Actually, a bid went out today to remediate the artificial turf, fix it, and redo some of the base work. So we're gonna get prices for everything in there and then prioritize it and update the dog park. Speaking of the grants, that's the Village Green fitness equipment. Another exciting thing the manager mentioned earlier is the Calusa court lights were approved at the BCC today. So the manager and I have been talking recently. There's been a lot of activity. Some things that, like you referred to earlier, that have been talked about, worked, met about, are all of a sudden really starting to take off, and we're excited that a lot of these things are going to be coming to fruition.
And he mentioned it before, if our council doesn't show the commitment that we want to get it done, we don't then have the ability to either tell another entity that we want to or get the funding. And he's talking about FERDAP grants and LWCF grants that we can access. So being in that capital plan is not just a planning document, it's also an opportunity to get external support.
I'm just noticing here in this list, because sometimes we're critical of our own staff maintenance, and other people are also, but here's a pretty good example. The Village Green over 5 playground would be a rehab or a redo, right?
Yes, sir.
Of something that exists. Improve the North Beach access path would be dog park rehab would be a maintenance issue. To be fair, sometimes we do have it in our plan and we do work on it.
Those are great examples of being proactive, and we're just going out to bid on the community center and assess the audit and assessment of the community center. It's another example of us being proactive with one of our facilities, and we're gonna bring that before you in the new year and have a company go through that building and the programming and the spaces and make it what we need it to be for the next 20 years.
And we've got a little added twist to add to that after last week,
What's that?
our water restoration.
Oh, yes, yes.
The beach park rehab, where are we on that one?
I know that the bid documents are just,
Is that
So,
ready?
a quick question, and now you brought that up, by the way, the water faucet, the faucet thing, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's
to
good.
yes,
Are we gonna do something with that? Are we putting in a valve or?
yes, yes, yeah, yeah. Right now, that area is sectioned off, but
What
once,
damage did we take out of that?
A good amount.
Yeah. we're talking thousands of gallons what went through that building.
We're tracking all of it. That company has committed to paying it through their
They're gonna-
insurance. Yeah,
they're
we'll
okay
get
with
fully
everything.
reimbursed, and I've asked Todd and Chris for whatever work that we do.
Okay.
Obviously, the water restoration company came in, we had to pay them. There are some HVAC control panels that were taken out. There's some IT systems that were interfered with. Obviously, there was major impact in the gym.
No, I know what you're talking about.
So, yes,
Yeah, okay.
it's gonna be a pain, it's gonna be a process. We think it's gonna be open this week, but it's gonna take a lot of work.
Okay.
In the end, I've got a pledge from the owner of the company that their insurance will cover everything.
Good to know. Thank you.
Speak to Beach Park very quickly. We are we're finished with design. We had to put it back through permitting though, because we needed to incorporate the CCTV equipment that is currently mounted on the pavilion. We wanted to hide it better into the columns. And then there was also some equipment storage that was happening in that internal room area. And so we needed to put that equipment into a different area of Beach Park. But the permitting office, Jeremy's office is looking through it. It should be permitted very shortly. And I plan on putting it out to bid in the new year.
31 days on average.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's the big picture, but we're gonna, and Colin, you may want to join him on this because there's some numbers here. Not saying that Todd can't do numbers, but Colin does them very well. But if you two would walk through, this is the same list, and this is kind of gives you the timeline, what phase it's in, who we're using, and some of the cost issues that we have.
So like this is a multi-phase.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of covered Mast already, but you see our estimate right where it stands right now. The funding source, the consultant, the construction phase, and our project time frame.
PRI and PM, project manager, or?
Priority,
Priority.
PRI, PM, project manager, yes.
And just as a question, the 2.4 million, that's including all fees? I mean, that's construction,
Yes.
consultant, the whole, like, the whole
That's-
budget number?
That's one of our managers.
All the enchiladas?
Yeah,
Okay,
pet peeves is that we have to get everything into our
okay,
costs.
just,
Yes.
qualify, yeah.
Yeah, and we're getting better at that is because we sometimes get caught, because there's two things. Obviously, we got to make sure that we cover everything, and also we have to understand the escalation over a
Sure,
period of
so
time.
the escalation's in there too.
The escalation's in there, yes.
We talked about it earlier, there's the money that you funded us this year for the slice, and that's
It's a 2,500.
really helped us in the negotiation process, having some funding behind it. When we meet with these entities, they know we're serious and we know we're ready to move forward. It's not something that we can't do this year. We talked about the landfill. The Monaco Fountain, you've been presented. You want to talk about the development? The funding source there is, I think you're aware of what that is.
And then FERDAPs are mentioned here, as well as the Coastal Partnership Initiative for the North Beach Access Path. You'll see that the Village Green Over 5 Playground is programmed out for later years. We have a limit on how many FERDAPs we can apply to the same
Tell
park.
people what FERDAP is.
The Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program.
So
It's a
that's what,
mouthful.
that's what did the under 5 playground.
Yeah.
And then we need to close that out. And we got the application in for the Village Green fitness equipment. We'll know in June, when the budget's approved, if we got that funded, then we'll go forward,
to
close that out, and then,
And over the years, I gotta say, FERDAP is pretty narrowly tailored, right?
it's pretty, last year didn't get funded. We're cautiously optimistic it will get funded this year.
And they only do up to, what, 200,000, is it, or
It's 300
300?
total. Usually we do a strong submission. We usually score very high. And it just depends on the total funding allocated.
Yeah, it wasn't that ours didn't rate hard last year. The state just didn't fund the
Any of
program.
it, yeah.
That was the issue. And there's a federal program called LWCF. You probably know what it means. You know, we
Land
know
and
these
Water
things by letter, but we
Conservation
don't know
Fund.
exactly what they mean. But that's also another funding source that the state manages, but that's a federal source.
It's all in,
FERDAP and LWCF, yeah, so.
Yes.
that's more or less it, but yeah.
Any questions on that?
Lightweight cardiac work.
We're testing Frank's mind. So I think one of the most important things there is to look at the phase, right? So actually, none of those projects are specifically in construction right now. Most are in planning, and what do we have? 4 that are currently in design.
Right.
And also, you can see some projects are fully funded, some are not.
Okay, this makes sense?
And just, I know we talked about the Northeast Slice. I think most of you all are familiar with it, but that is on Virginia Key. What is the Slice on the northeast of Virginia Key, just east of the wastewater plant? We have no other name to call it, so we'll call it the Northeast Slice until it becomes something. We are officially the only village, I think, in all Miami-Dade County who has a capital plan outside
Outside of corporate
outside
boundaries.
of our boundaries, because you'll see Bear Cup Bridge and the Causeway on there.
It's like the Hawaii of Key Biscayne.
Yes.
Joe?
Gentleman wants to speak.
Yes, Armando.
I have a question. What is PRI?
Priority.
Priority. Okay, thank
And it's what, 1 to 5 or? Okay.
you. No, because it goes 6, you know.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think it is. I think we do a 1 to 9.
1 to 9?
Yeah, obviously, I think 6 would be, I mean, we have 9s, but obviously 9s aren't on there because those are low priority projects, but we do our capital plan 1 to 9.
So the lower the number, the higher the priority.
No. Yeah, the lower number, higher priority. Yes. We found that you don't want to put 10 in a priority system.
Good
'cause when you
question.
sort, it doesn't work. Why is number 10 number 2? But anyway, so next one up is the transportation network, and Chris will walk us through the 2 categories, one of which obviously is Rickenbacker Causeway, and then those that are internal to us, the roads and safety.
And as you're aware, we're doing extensive work on the Rickenbacker Causeway efforts. We're making extensive efforts. And we have done a great deal of work. For example, the Rickenbacker Crandon traffic data analysis, which has already been completed. Colleen was my project manager on that one. She led the effort. My staff tends to be multi-versatile. Everybody works on a project. Everybody has some project management going on with all types of projects. So myself, not only our village engineer, Savvy,
Versatile, huh?
multi-versatile.
Gotta remember that
There
one.
you go. So we have the Causeway Short-Term Solutions and the Shoreline Feasibility and Assessment and the Bear Cut Bridge, which are very significant efforts on the causeway, the traffic management of the causeway. The roadways and safeties repaving, the village roadways, these are the streets we just spoke about, Island Drive, Cape Florida, and Mariner that were paved this year. And then the Harbor Drive project, which we already discussed extensively. The speed zones are,
Just so I could interrupt you one quickly. There's a lot here, so if you do want to look at a map, two
Yes.
slides further.
yes.
At some point, it'd be nice to have 2 screens here.
This,
Yes,
yeah, this actually
that'll
kind of,
zoom you in on each one of those projects there.
that way I can do.
Are
Do
we?
2 off this one. So this gives you a better picture of
Yeah, it does.
what we've been working on and what projects we have going on. The roadways that were already paved are not highlighted in this picture, but they're in the lower end of the map. And then for this coming year, the roadways that are in purple are the ones that we're going to make the effort to get all of those roadways paved within 2026. And Harbor is highlighted in yellow. There's the intersection for Sonesta, which we are looking at. We're very, very early stages, still in the planning stages of how we're gonna, or what we see needs to be done. That's next to the new library going in.
And just be clear on that one, that is a development proffer that we received for 301 Ocean Drive.
Yeah, I remember
Correct.
that one.
Chris, just quick step back. What's short-term solutions? Rickenbacker Causeway, what is that?
That is, so there is as they're looking for obviously the master plan and or shoreline that we're looking at, what Rickenbacker is going to be in the long term. The Director of Transportation and Public Works at the county is running a task force that is putting together ways in which we communicate better, that we can coordinate better, and that we can do short and maybe midterm infrastructure. And that's their commitment to putting a plan in place starting in January so that we can address.
So we funded those for $50,000. So it's on the chart. I'm just trying to understand what it was. Yeah, right there, it says 50 grand.
The Kim Horn?
Keep on
Yeah, yeah.
72.
Why is 50 there?
Our project manager from Kimley Horn was excellent. He helped us with what Chris referred to as the Rickenbacker Causeway traffic data analysis.
I remember that presentation.
Yeah, so what we've told him is we want him to continue helping us with that, and we have some continuing asks of him to sort of be our man, working with Jeremy and Chris on that. So we gave him a purchase order for just under $50,000 to use as needed. It's a time and materials.
And we're also using him to inform the shoreline as well.
Right.
Because he's done all this time and effort to collect and analyze this data. It just doesn't, and what we've been able to give to the county based on this, and look, no one else would have ever done it, but we did it. And so they are now able to make better informed decisions. And we even have, and he owes it to me on Friday, we're going to have what we call a heat calendar, the one and only heat calendar, which is going to tell us by day, in the season from January through June, what days we can expect high traffic. And then we're gonna ask them on those weekends, which are the highest, can you lay it out by hour? And so we'll have that by the end of this week, and we want to
That'll be good.
put it together, and we're gonna share it to the community in advance of the coming season, because we know.
And from what I've looked through some of those stats, it's usually like March, April. They're not hot summer days, for some reason, everybody wants to get out, and it's still very high tourist season.
It's a nice time of year.
April weekends are red weekends, without a doubt.
Yes.
And Saturdays between 3 and 7 are the reddest of all red in April. And you'll see that when we do this. He's going to give us a very short executive presentation we can share with you. Want to go back to your map, Chris?
I have a question on the map. On the Sonesta intersection, we were promised, I guess, when we were talking about the development, that we're going to put a pipe along that road. How is that?
Yeah, well, we have that on the infrastructure.
Right, but
project.
will that intersection take into consideration a connection to a future system?
Yes, and we probably haven't.
Because
we haven't
before you
mentioned it,
pave
but
that, you
everything-
want to lay out a pipe and a structure there to make a point.
And everything we have there, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a number, a subscript on a couple of them. If there's a number, that means there's a dependency between that and other projects.
You can see it in the charts and right after the title.
Where?
For example, Rickenbacker Causeway Short-Term Solutions has
Yeah,
a number
talking about the
3.
Sonesta
then
intersection.
some-
We
Yes.
don't have one on that, but yeah, so.
Okay, well, that's what we'll get a couple, just couple things take into consideration, because you're gonna be allocating a budget, and you're gonna be doing an intersection. And if you're gonna be doing an intersection and they're promising us gonna come in and lay out a pipe, that pipe is gonna require a connection structure, and that connection structure is gonna require some additional excavation work, et cetera. If the developer's paying for that, great, but we should understand what that cost will be, not just the paving,
Right,
right?
right,
Okay.
Yes, yeah, this project's more than just paving.
Yeah.
correct.
I mean, just saying.
I mean,
Just
for
bringing that up.
$545,000, that's.
Yeah, it sounds a little, that's what I was saying, feels
Yeah.
a tad low. And the other question I had, can I go back to the map one second?
Sure.
The PD&E for Bear Cut Bridge, do we have any involvement in that at all, in the selection of the concept? Are we involved? Well, I mean,
Well, I mean, in the event, no.
the stakeholder, we should.
Well,
We
we have quite a bit of
stakeholders.
leverage. It's
What does
called
that
our
mean?
county commissioner.
Okay, I understand.
And she is requested that there be a fourth alternative that takes in consideration the bridge being connected to an elevated viaduct.
Okay,
In fact, she pulled an item that was on the agenda 2 weeks ago because it didn't have that fourth alternative. So we're working with her very closely on what
I
gets
just think
into it.
it's important that we have a voice for the selection of that layout. I know we should. I mean, it's a direct connection to our village. Our residents are going to experience that every day more than anybody. So for somebody from somewhere else to make a decision of what that's gonna look like, whether it's gonna be a signature bridge or whether it's gonna be, I don't know what it's gonna be. But at the end of the day, we want to have a say on that, and we should be stakeholders in some process of decision. So I don't know how council feels about that, but I certainly feel strongly about that.
Yes.
And I'm just saying to staff that, remind you that we're looking forward to have a voice on that, not just,
I mean, I didn't, obviously don't want to say it too strongly, but
no, you can say it strongly. So
we got something off of the Board of County
it's better
Commissioners
get it's better get a say on that. Yeah.
agenda because it didn't meet the needs of what we wanted to do at Shoreline.
Okay.
I mean, that's,
Because we're putting it here, so I have not heard anything about us participating specifically in this PD&E process, but,
When was that meeting that we went to 6 months ago?
that was back in April.
Yeah, but that was- yeah.
But realize when the Shoreline concept came up, the Commissioner Regalado directed that Public Works halt on the current PD&E for two reasons. One, to add a fourth alternative that would consider connection to the viaduct, one. Two, as NEPA changes its rules,
right.
taking consideration if those rules change and can be adjusted accordingly as we go forward with our PD&E.
Right. Well, that's why because I've heard about the viaduct, we talked about the viaduct, and I've asked about the question about the PD&E already moving forward, but I have not yet found one or heard about us having an active involvement in what Bear Cut Bridge is going to look like and how that's going to connect to, to the money that we're putting in, to the concept that we're thinking about, to everything. So I'd love to hear more.
The project's on halt because the county commissioner has said,
I am-
hold tight as we put together the shoreline.
got
So
you.
that's
I got you.
where we are. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Public Works Director.
I've lost my train of thought here.
You're on the
Yeah.
system.
Put you in a,
Sonesta and the improvements to that intersection, I understood. I take your comments. And we'll look into the drainage pipe that was proposed there. I believe I was going down the list here. The speed zones are actually the speed zones in front of St. Agnes, and we are working closely with the county to look at those. It's the school speed zones, that timing and the extent of those school speed zones. We've had several discussions with the county on that. We have the improvement of the street lights, which we're going to have a workshop on and discuss during the workshop. We are already working with the traffic calming and the golf cart cut-throughs. We have come up with some designs and some improvements to be made to the golf cart cut-throughs to help both pedestrian and the golf carts as they come through those properties. The traffic calming, as a matter of fact, today they were on Island Drive preparing the 3 speed tables that were removed to put those back in. So that work will take place, started today, tomorrow. It's going to take a little bit of time because we have I keep talking about this unique design that we're going to do on it. So that's going to take a little bit of time to get that print put down on it. Fernwood, Colleen went into extensively with where we're at with that in the grant applications. That is a 5-year plan, LAP program with FDOT. And the last one on this list is the Sonesta Drive, which we already discussed. And we can go to.
Just to recap, because I get that question from people on Island Drive.
Yes.
The speed tables are going back up.
They are going back up. They're going to be constructed to meet the proper design criteria for speed tables. The ones that were there didn't meet proper design criteria. The slopes weren't correct, causing cars to bottom out, golf carts and lower riding cars. These are going to be a little bit lower. They're going to still have the same effect of slowing traffic. But they do meet Miami-Dade County's design criteria for a speed table. Yes, sir.
And there was an issue, our fire trucks.
Our fire department had an issue with exactly the same thing. The transitions in and out, and they were so high that the trucks were having an issue bottoming out. Now, their current trucks, which are a little more elevated, may not be bottoming out as much, but they did have to slow down significantly to get over them. So could cost them seconds, which seconds, you know, if somebody's having a major issue, could be a life.
So Chris, that's now resolved with the new design, is what you're saying?
Yes, the proper designs are much lower. The transitions are longer. It's a 6-foot transition, not a 4-foot transition to elevate, and then a 10-foot landing to, again, a transition down of 6 feet. So it's a gentler speed table, still provides the same effect of slowing traffic.
What's the speed table cost, roughly?
Roughly, I'd say probably somewhere around $12,000, 12 to 15,000, depending. If we didn't have one in it in the first place, and you wanted to put one in, it would be between $12,000 to $15,000 to install it.
Chris, just as an update on that, the contractor that did the repaving, did you guys ever figure out what you're doing with the cleaning of all the stuff that's still on the roads?
Yes, we've had several discussions. They have committed to bringing out a product that they're going to put down to remove as much as possible of that has seeped into the asphalt. Unfortunately, that's a petroleum-based product that the asphalt did absorb it, so it's hard to get it down deep inside and remove it, but they are committed to making an effort to remove as much as possible. And as we move forward, they've been put on notice. We will take strong measures that this does not occur again anywhere in the village.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of input from people in that neighborhood about the paving process. They weren't particularly very happy, so a lot of
Yes.
staining on the streets and stuff.
Right. The conversations I had with the owner of the company, the subcontractor, the quality of his work was good, but the workmanship outside of the job lacked a lot. So we've discussed that
enough
we're
said.
not going to move forward
This is
with that.
also, when you did approve this current contract, you also approved a backup.
Yes,
So we made it clear to them if they can't meet our standards, we'll just go with the backup contractor.
correct.
And by the way, we didn't hire you to bring us in a subcontractor.
Right.
We hired you to
Do the
bring
work.
your
Yeah,
people in.
yeah.
Yes.
Correct. So you've gone back and forth, and I brought back up the chart that we've been going down, and you can see the list of priorities. Obviously, the causeway is one of our top priorities, and the funding that we have. The first project was funded through both ourselves and the TPO. As I said, that project is completed. We have received full reimbursement from the TPO for that project. It's been closed out. Not yet?
I submit it quarterly, so it'll happen.
Right. But we submitted our last quarterly, correct?
The last quarter is 12/31.
Yes. Okay. The short-term solutions for the causeway, which is an effort that we are working with Miami-Dade County, DTPW, and ourselves, funding the 50,000, as Colleen spoke about earlier, with Kimley Horn. The shoreline effort, the 950,000, which was put up by us, and we're working with Shoreline to complete. Bear Cut Bridge, PD&E, with Miami-Dade County, and fully funded by Miami-Dade County, so it's all in their side. With our road and safety projects, the roadway repaving is ourselves funding through our transportation fund. We anticipate $920,000. As you see in the map where I showed all the roads in purple, it's significantly more to cover. So we're trying to get a majority of the island completed this year.
Chris, why would that be a 3, just as a question?
As far as priority,
Yeah,
there were other significant projects that were ahead of it.
but you're
don't
gonna get
have
this
the-
done this year, right? So,
It will be done this year. It will be completed this year, yes.
Remember, this is 3 out of 9.
Yeah, I'm just, because like, number one is the improved streetlights, and it doesn't starts next quarter.
Yeah,
The-
well, we
I'm
wanted
just
to-
trying to understand.
We wanted to start that a while ago, but we,
Yeah.
but
Whatever. I just-
we haven't approved.
Get out of the weeds, Bracken, get out, okay, get out. I'm out of the weeds, forget it.
No,
No
remember,
more.
3 is high. Remember, what we're also stacking against this are things like fire trucks, police vehicles, so realize that this is for the entire capital.
Okay,
plan.
all right, got it.
So, our capital plan also includes purchases as well.
So it's not ranked in the category, this category is ranked as overall.
Overall, and across the whole entire capital program,
Got it, thank you.
correct. So Harbor Drive is also ranked a 3, and that one's moving on. Corandino's already done full design. You see it's $2.5 million in cost. The reason I gave you a little bit higher number is the tail piece of Harbor is not included here. That's part of the paving project up above. So part of that 920,000, there's a little section there that we are gonna pay for ourselves. The streetlights, as you said, is 800, we have it at 821,000 for the entire streetlight project. I'm sorry, I'm out here. And then the traffic calming and golf cart cut-throughs, it's funded out of the transportation fund. This includes replacing all the traffic calming devices throughout the village, all the speed tables, and anywhere where we have a speed hump, which are very few, but we do have some speed humps throughout the village. We also have some elevated intersections that we're looking at in some brick pavered intersections that have to be redone.
Technically, is a speed hump different than a table?
Yes, a speed table, as I said, has 6-foot transition on either side with a 10-foot landing area. A speed hump is much narrower. It's about 2 foot wide, and it's just a hump that you go over. Speed humps are not technically approved by Dade County as appropriate for public roads. They're more for private roads. But there was a time when those were being put in, so we do have some throughout the village. And if we run across those, we would probably convert that into a speed table.
Greenwood and Hampton.
Yeah, they're all over.
Yeah. Those will become speed tables in our program. Right.
Is Fernwood and Heather considered a speed table?
Fernwood and Heather is an elevated intersection. So that entire intersection is elevated.
When you were describing the compliant design, I don't think Fernwood meets that
The
design.
transitions do not. And that particular intersection has some challenges. We've already had some very preliminary conversations with engineers. We met out there, we looked at it. They feel that the flow is maybe not set up correctly for our community. Again, as the mayor was mentioning earlier, with golf carts and the drop-off, there might be some improvements that we can make to that intersection that would help traffic flow much better.
The crosswalk is also elevated.
Yes, yes. That section, there's a crosswalk further down that's elevated. It acts almost as a speed table, but it is a crosswalk. Sidewalks and crosswalks, as discussed, are on here. We have allocated $195,000, and that, most of this fund is all coming from us. No, not of this, the entire program. Fernwood, as we discussed, will be, the planning phase of it will be through the TPO, and then as it moves forward, it'll be with the FDOT in their, we're anticipating in their LAP program, Local Agency Participation Program, which has some very strict requirements because that's funded through federal funds, with federal funds. So very strict guidelines on that one. And then the Sonesta is the last one on this list, which is a proffer from a private developer. Then we go into the infrastructure and environment. Steve? The, Roland, actually.
So this one, again, the third category, we've broken into three categories. Obviously, this lines up pretty directly, and Rowan will walk you through the shorelines, utilities, and then also then our stormwater programs as well.
Yeah, so these three categories essentially line up with the Resilient Infrastructure and Adaptation Program lines of effort, which specifically are dealing with street flooding, which is a stormwater system, roadways, electrical and telecom undergrounding, and shoreline protection, as well as the fifth line of effort, which is all the soft things that need to be done to support hard infrastructure. Starting with shoreline protection, one of the biggest efforts that we've had going right now is the work that we've been doing with the Army Corps of Engineers and the Coastal Storm Risk Management Program, and getting feasibility studies done for both the ocean side and the bay side of the island. So that's,
Roland,
go ahead.
yeah, just the name, the street contest was Frank Kaplan, the winner. That is his street. Sorry to interrupt.
The photo is
Okay.
from my driveway,
From your driveway?
Yes,
approximately.
just looking away from his house.
Yeah. But flooding's not a problem.
No.
So in any event, getting back to the shoreline protection, much of the work that we've been doing in that regard has been with the Army Corps of Engineers, undertaking the feasibility study for the ocean side and the bay side. That's underway, and we continue to work with them to sort of keep that ball rolling along. Also, we're very focused on the regular beach renourishments that we have to undertake. We did one in 2024. We have positioned ourselves to be able to fund an upcoming beach renourishment. We don't know exactly when it's going to be. It kind of depends on what kind of storms we get in any given year. We have funds available to do a renourishment in 2025 if we need to, but obviously if the shoreline doesn't require it, then that will just roll forward to the next year.
Are we forecasting that we need it next year, given the shoreline today, the way it is today?
No, I don't believe that we're going to be doing a renourishment unless we get a hurricane in 2025, at which point then we'll have to scramble to try and get
And then the window's
design.
February, March,
Yeah,
right?
the window is very, very tight.
February, March, is it?
Yeah,
before
February,
turtle
yeah,
season?
basically January, February, March. You got to get done essentially by the end of April because that's the start of the turtle nesting
we'd have to
season. So
start
you really
planning
want
now.
to be done by beginning of April, middle of April at the latest.
We'd have to start planning now.
They usually start in summer.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
that?
I mean,
Summertime.
I
summertime.
don't know, I mean, if we wanted.
Oh, like
plan
if
in
we
for
wanted to do a
2025,
if we wanted to do a
or
26,
2026, I mean.
Oh, no, we'd be too late.
it'd be too
Yeah,
late.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Because there's a couple process
But see, we
steps
don't
have
need,
to
we
do.
don't need, we don't need a 26 renourishment.
Doesn't seem like we might have to.
I mean, not spring renourishment, you know, so we'd probably, if we had a hurricane in, say, or if we had heavy storms this winter and then had some shoreline erosion problems because of a tropical storm in the summer of 26, then we would be planning to do a renourishment in January of 27.
Q1,
Yeah, exactly.
So this is, going back to Councilmember Bracken, this is a case in point. So we know, we target this every 3 years. And
Right.
so what we do is we actually run a program with the Florida Beach Management Assistance Program. I might not have the numbers exactly right, but I believe they have $1.4 million in our account right now.
Yeah.
They pay 45%, we pay 55%. So we know going into next year's budget that we're going to have to put that 55% into.
So the cost is the cost to us is 3 million, or the cost total is 3 million?
No, the cost total is 3 million, of which we need to generate, I think, like 55%.
1.6.
Yeah.
So I think.
Okay, so
state-
right now we're underfunded by 500,000.
Well, I'm not looking at the numbers.
It's,
Funding available is 1.1 now.
I'm just
You
understanding that.
don't know exactly how much you're underfunded because you don't exactly know what the price of sand is and all this
right.
stuff. So, you know, I mean, at some point we're gonna know for sure when we end up having to do a renourishment and we have a design and we have a cost for sand, what the exact cost is gonna be in total, then we can figure out how much we'll be able to allocate from the state, and then how much we're gonna have to
Well,
come up
we
with.
target 3 years. It's actually been less the last couple times. No, 18 months.
Well, prior to that, yes, this will be 3 years.
It'll
this
be
year.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah, we were 24, we'll do 27. And so this is also, remember, this is also part of the state budget process as well. We're gonna have to confirm that that still is in our pot, their program. Which will
I'm
be
just
developed.
struggling, I'm just struggling with the math. So if we have 3 million, and maybe Colleen, you can
I
help.
can help.
Yeah.
The 1.12 that you see is actually FDP's
That's right.
contribution.
Okay.
When Roland said 3 million, we're rounding up.
Okay,
So our contribution is 55%,
difference.
theirs is 45%.
Okay.
So that's sort of the math. But in total, it's usually 3 million. We have monitoring, permitting afterwards, we have to.
no, I got
plans.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand where the numbers came from. Thank you.
So in the sake of speed, so we can get moving, why don't you brief that off of this?
Okay.
And just kind of hit them as we go through?
Yeah.
This is pretty much the same?
Yeah, so I mean, as far as the offshore barrier reef is concerned, I mean, we're still trying to get a feasibility study funded to be able to like determine that this is a viable alternative.
Which is why you
We've-
don't have a time frame at all on this.
What's that?
You don't have a time frame.
Well, no, we don't have a time frame
okay.
because we could never get the feasibility
I
funded.
got excited that I saw it on the list there, but I realized
Yeah,
it's not really.
so we've submitted for grants probably about 5 times now, and agencies just basically aren't that excited to fund feasibility studies, yet at the same time, we don't really want to fund it ourselves. So that's just kind of
If we
out
do
there.
see-
We're
if we
trying
do
to
see a
get
federal budget this year?
Yeah, we're trying to get some
It will be funded.
from the
It's in that
appropriations.
federal budget that's being hopefully funded, and we'll see, unless we continue on a continuing resolution to the third year.
Depending on how much they end up giving us,
Yeah.
we may or may not have enough to actually do the full feasibility study, at which point we'll have to decide whether we want to
To use our own money.
use some of our own money to actually.
And then we also
Get it
have,
done.
one of our appropriations requests at the state level is also support funding as well.
Yeah, so then moving down to stormwater, big topic of conversation these days. We do have Zone 1 Alternative 1. There's an alternative one, and then obviously there's alternative 2, which is basically this alternatives analysis that we've got going underway right now. So alternative 1 is basically in the study and design phase, but it's really sort of almost, well, it's pretty much ready for prime time. We just have to make a decision as to whether or not we're gonna move to construction on that one or not. Pump station backup generators, that's currently under construction. And Zone 1 Alternative 2, which is the alternatives analysis, is underway, so that's in planning and funded as we decided to move down that road. Repair and rehab stormwater system, that's ongoing. Basically maintenance of the system that we have currently, that's run actively through Public Works and Chris. And then Garden District as well, that's under design. And we just recently found out from HMGP that we are going to be able to
We
have
had
that.
we had a little bit of a
fully
hurdle
funded.
that we passed.
Right, by the way, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Before we get too excited, they're still in technical review and the engineers are looking at it. But the hard part was the benefit cost analysis. That's where we thought we were gonna maybe get dropped, so we didn't, and that's great.
That's
Yeah,
a big win.
yeah.
So Colleen has learned to be very skeptical when it comes to grants. But yes, well done by Colleen, yes.
What is your cutoff would be some maintenance versus capital? Is it years or dollars? What years the thing has to last, or
We have a-
dollars at a cost?
We have a general rule. It's usually if it's over $50,000 and or has a lifespan of 7 years or more is kind of what we've put in our policy in the budget post. Yeah, but there's flexibility with that because sometimes the studies and the plans that are contributing to a capital project that's larger get put into the capital program and they may not be a full $50,000. So it's a little flexible, but that's more or less the rule.
So when you're doing planning, we'll say in a year and it's less than 50, but if the project's gonna be several million, you'll expense the less than 50, or will you capitalize it?
Are you talking like if we're doing a planning
You're
in 1 year?
gonna do a project,
Yeah,
say eventually it's gonna cost $2 million.
sure.
But the first year that you're doing planning on it, you're spending $40,000. I'm just making something up.
Yeah.
So my question
That
is,
happens.
will that 40 become capital or you expense it?
We'd put it into the capital plan because it is affecting a capital project.
Right, it leads
in
to a capital project.
Capital asset, yes.
So you, okay, so you,
That was my question.
Yeah,
So anything that's
As
capital
opposed
asset,
To a police car, maybe?
no, they're capitalizing engineering fees into the total project is what basically, yeah. Yeah, because it's part of the project.
I just didn't know what the the accounting was for something.
Yeah.
So that's the core of the activities relative to stormwater. Obviously, there's some dependencies when it comes to utilities and the undergrounding as it relates to alternative one or garden district. That's the little sub number 6 that relates basically to alternative 2 and alternative 1 of zone 1, because that would be done sort of coordinated and together. Obviously, undergrounding 8, zone 8 is related to the garden district because the stormwater work that's going to be done in the garden district is going to be coordinated with the undergrounding in 8. Those undergrounding efforts are essentially in design for zone 1 and for zone 8, study and design. And then obviously undergrounding village-wide is still in planning stages. FPL is working on doing the cost estimating for those other zones. All of those costs would essentially be covered under the GOB, and yeah, that's pretty much the core of the infrastructure and environment-related capital projects. Just to give a sense for the distribution, obviously the offshore barrier reef, the beach renourishment, and the feasibility study with the Corps are on the coastal side of the equation. The holiday colony work and the pump station backup generators, those are sort of the green dots to the north and in the holiday colony area. The undergrounding is of zone 8 is essentially the garden district, and obviously our alternative 1 and 2 are for zone 1 specifically. So that gives you a sense for the sort of distribution of where these projects are going to be taking place.
Roland, as far as the undergrounding for the 13.5, are we ready to go to bid on this, or where are we?
Hold on a second.
The undergrounding, zone 1.
So yes, in the sense that all of the design has been completed for zone 1. At the moment, it's all sort of integrated with the stormwater design. So to just peel that away and just put that on the street on its own, I think would be, challenging. Because at this point, all that design work is fully integrated with all the stormwater and all the water and all the sewer modifications, everything like that. There isn't as far as I can tell, there isn't just like a single standalone set of plans that is just the FPL, Comcast, and AT&T all in one set of plans. It's all woven into the stormwater work and the water work and the sewer work. Now, it could potentially be pulled out, but right now it's all integrated.
I thought we
Suppose
had,
an unlikely event that we came back with the alternative 2 and we didn't go with the existing plan, what would happen then with the undergrounding?
it would probably have to be.
It'd have to all be untangled.
It would have to be adjusted accordingly, depending on his pipe layout and pump layout.
Yeah.
So zone 8 could go faster?
Yes.
Yeah, you could. That's what they're designing now.
So we could have plans and start that?
Yeah, because I mean, from a stormwater point of view, AECOM hasn't done any designing of stormwater modifications in Zone 8, which is Garden District. So all that's going on in the Garden District is the 3 injection wells that are going to be covered by the HMGP and the conversion of one gravity well to pressurized. That's the crux of the stormwater work, which is essentially like a Band-Aid solution. And then the rest of the work is just strictly the undergrounding
So
of.
how long to get that design done? it's being done right now, right?
Yeah, it's a work in progress. Yeah, I'd imagine probably like another 6
We're
months.
doing that.
What's that?
FPL?
FPL,
FPL.
yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, once we have the FPL design, then Comcast and AT&T have to do theirs
So
because they
talk
follow.
us through how we would proceed, let's say, in year, next year, in '26. How would we go? What kind of timeline do you roughly, because I know you don't have it down on paper, but how it would go? February, March, April?
I haven't worked out that timeline,
Okay.
honestly. That's something that I'd have to sit down with Mike Huda at BV to sort of work through, because he's sort of been he's been sort of the tip of the spear on coordinating the undergrounding, but we don't really have access to him right now.
Okay, and then, so, again, roughly speaking, is that a 2-year project, a 6-month
Yeah,
project?
no, I could easily see it. I could easily see it being a 2-year project.
2-year?
Yeah, I could easily.
Oh, yeah, talking about zoning.
Yeah, I mean, we still have to do complete all the design, and I mean,
Oh, I understand,
and there's a
understood.
whole set of
Just trying to
processes.
get a grasp for what it
And then you have
could
to
be
do
like.
all the procurement and whatnot and all the contracting, and I mean, infrastructure is not quick. Nothing about infrastructure is quick.
So Roland, just to reiterate, you're saying that under the current drawings that we have, we can't pull out the undergrounding of Zone 1?
I didn't say that it couldn't be done. It would have to be done if you wanted to do that just alone without doing any of the other work, stormwater, water, or sewer. It would, the whole intent starting a
No,
couple
I
of years
understand.
ago was that we would do this as an integrated thing, and so that's what we've been driving towards.
But we've
And that's
had-
what we now have, is an integrated set of plans for stormwater improvements, water and sewer deconflictions and modifications as necessary, and the undergrounding. It's all one big set of plans that covers everything.
So we would have really conflict, I guess, if we went ahead and did it now, and then we did the ACOM plan and dug up the streets, because the lateral's going across.
Absolutely.
Electric, we either dig under or dig over, depending on, well, actually.
That's
dig
correct.
under because the electric will be on top.
Yeah.
And I think that's true with either one of the alternatives that we would go. There
I don't
would be,
think it's the other alternative, just.
No, it could very well be the other alternative as well, yeah.
I'm not talking about major piping or major in the streets, so, yeah, there will be some stuff.
There would be.
Wouldn't be as bad as the ACOM, because you'd have laterals everywhere.
well, we'll see. I mean, obviously, you just did a concept yesterday. We'll
That's
see where
where
it comes.
we are, Joe, with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my whole point is, we can get a faster project started at the Zone 8 there.
Potentially, yeah.
Well, no, it'll be faster in Zone 1, but the problem would be that you would have conflict or make it more difficult if they're gonna dig a trench during the middle of the street to lay the pipes for the ACOM plan, and you have a lateral going in the middle there, and you gotta dig around it.
Yeah.
Right.
And not damage it.
All I'm saying is, if you want a quick win, then probably easier
To
to
do
go.
one. To do one. If you want it quick, it would be do one.
We can do,
Does it make most sense? Probably not.
You mean
What's
one
the quicker?
undergrounding?
one undergrounding only.
You mean one undergrounding only?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be the quickest one. But again, the problems would have, assuming you go with the ACON thing, the conflict, not conflict, but the obstacles you're putting in their way, having the laterals going across the street.
Well, I think it'll impact any stormwater solution, no matter what we choose.
But, yeah, I think we still have to see what the alternative design says and how it's going to be operated. I mean,
Yeah.
before we make any decisions.
That's a question you can ask them.
But wait, so we're gonna have this undergrounding, workshop.
Right.
What's the date?
Later in January. I don't have the
Okay.
exact dates on my calendar.
January 22nd.
But I think we gotta be thinking very clearly about this to see, if we can get one started, let's get one started. We gotta figure out whether we wanna do the hybrid or the other one. And those are decisions that are gonna come up. Huh?
Yeah, for sure. But I think the big discussion is, are we planning on moving forward with Zone 1 undergrounding and putting the infrastructure, the stormwater project on hold and continue pushing forward on the undergrounding? And that's the question we're gonna have to come to
Yep,
terms with
Yep.
sooner than later.
It's a very critical decision because at the end of the day,
we'll have
the
those
more stuff you
discussions
put
in
in the ground before putting the big infrastructure in the ground, the harder and more complicated and difficult you're making that next project. So
So,
Potentially.
in order to reach a decision, I mean, let's talk about the 50-ton gorilla in the
Yeah,
room.
exactly.
See both designs.
In order to reach it, we have two ongoing parallel, I wouldn't call the other one design yet,
Alternatives.
but an alternative being explored. I think that it's very important at this point in time that if we are embarking on that, that the engineer that Giorgio is left uninterrupted to continue with the work that he's doing in order for council to reach a decision. And I say that in the sense that he should be allowed as a professional engineer to conduct the work that is necessary and that he's requesting to get done, so he can come back and give us both, we can have a vision of it, because otherwise we're gonna have something half-cooked and something completed. That's the way I see it right now. So yeah, I think this is in the best interest of everybody. I personally, as a professional engineer, if somebody hands out something to me, I wanna be sure that I'm giving the, you know, the runway open so I can land the plane, right? So let's give him that opportunity. Let's allow him to design and finish or do what he's doing and bring it to council, and let's have the battle of the engineers. Because at the end of the day, that's what we got.
All right, let's
So,
finish up here.
No, but I mean, I gotta bring it up,
Yeah, you're good. It's fine.
you know.
Okay, so,
And,
no other questions on infrastructure environment?
well, no, I do wanna have one more question.
Okay.
I want to understand about the pipe. Yesterday, there was a request about the pipes, that were, I don't know what's going
Yesterday?
on. I'm sorry?
Yesterday.
Oh, yesterday, I'm sorry, what did I say?
Yeah, but
Yesterday, yesterday there was a discussion that kind of stayed in my mind a little bit about the current condition of the pipes. Mr. Public Works Director, can you explain to, at least to me, because this has been going on forever, man.
We haven't scoped the
I
pipes.
have no idea what the condition of the pipes are. We hear that they're good, we hear that we maintain them, but I don't know whether do they flow? Do they have capacity?
I cannot speak to capacity because you're talking about sizing in that kind of realm. I can tell you that the pipes are all jetted and cleaned every year. Do they have flow? They have flow. Will they get obstructed? They might, and we will
But that's the
clean
thing.
them out.
Okay, but why
We
don't
know
we
that.
get rid of that uncertainty? Because the problem is that I hear it all the time. Really, it's becoming an issue. We've been talking about this forever, and I know and I trust what you guys are doing. I know you're doing the best in maintaining these systems, but I don't have a sense of the capacity of these existing pipes.
Right.
I don't have that, and I think we should have somebody to go out there and scope this out and determine which ones are affected or not. I don't have that. Do you have that information?
I cannot give you that
Why don't we
information because we
embark on
don't
it?
have
We
sizing
really
for the
need that.
pipes.
We really, because otherwise we hear that they may have capacity, they may not have capacity, and we're hinging on that. Let's make it, let's find out for once and for all.
What are we talking about as far as to doing a survey cost-wise to do that? Is that
I
a
guess
half
the
a million
question, are you
dollars?
asking about the state of our, because I mean, the thing that I think, hold on, let me ask a question so I'm clear. Because I think what you're saying is you're referring back to what KCI's modeling said might be plugged, which I think is just, someone just threw out a number there. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about
for once and for
doing an analysis of understanding
Let's do
the capacity of our
let's
system?
TV those pipes. Let's figure out what is obstructed, what is not,
Yeah.
what could
Yeah,
we
but that's-
combine, what is salvageable, what is not. All that I
You're,
hear is that
you want a full as-built of the existing
I
system.
don't want an as-built. I want, if I could, I would have them TV.
We can TV them, but is that gonna give us capacity? I don't
tell you
know.
if
It's
the
gonna tell you if it's not plugged.
Or
It's
figure
gonna tell
out
you whether it's
where you have
It's flowing.
There's many ways of
Right,
There's
right.
many ways of determining how a pipe, if it's clogged or if it has capacity, limited capacity. Now, you can do a flow test, you can look at it, you know, you can run it at full
Correct.
capacity, you can figure out the
when they-
diameter is
I
clean
mean,
or
I've
not.
seen it when they jet the lines. I mean,
Yeah,
they're-
they-
they're-
they-
they're
they're
putting-
flowing.
they're
Give me
putting-
sign and seal
They're
report.
putting
Give me-
water into one catch basin
Okay.
drain and they're watching it flow to the next catch basin
beautiful.
drain. If it doesn't flow to
Beautiful.
the next catch basin drain, there's a problem. If
Beautiful.
it's flowing to the next catch basin drain, then it's got
Not-
it's
not
got
only- not only-
capacity.
Give me a sign and seal report.
Yes, not only that, we're running a jet line through, so we know that the lines are completely open from one catch basin to the other. We're actually running a line through it. So there's no obstruction in them.
Okay, so we're talking about, you've got two parallel paths right now. We established a different path or a separate path, two rails. One rail is trying to engage in the work, and part of that design, part of that philosophy that is being applied is considering the existing capacity of the pipes. And that information, to my understanding, is not available yet in full.
Oh, we
I-
do.
I-
Signed
that
and
was-
sealed by
But
professional.
let me-
that was-
let me-
AECOM
hold
did
on,
that
hold on.
analysis on the current capacity of our
Let-
pipes.
right.
And also, you do have a report, Chris. I think the last time
Yeah.
we did it was July-ish. We can update it.
Sure.
So we'll be happy to share it, because we presented that to the council. I think I sent it out.
But what I'm hearing is that, what I'm hearing, and I may not be right, but what I'm hearing is that that is available, that information has not been given yet to the engineer. Let's give it to the engineer. Let's get it done.
Well, I'm not sure what you're saying.
Wait, I don't exactly understand where you're
They
coming
have the
from.
full, they have the full
Because
AECOM report. They did an
AECOM
analysis.
modeled the existing system and calibrated their model of the existing system to existing storm events that have happened to make sure that what the model is saying in terms of inundation is actually what's being observed. So there's that.
So AECOM can sign and seal that and say, we looked at those
Yeah,
pipes.
they already did sign and seal it. We've already seen that report.
That report's 4
We
years
got
old.
that,
Right.
we got that a couple years ago. What's that?
You just got, we've been asking that question and you said you didn't have it.
No, I think,
I think we're talking about two separate things.
we are, and I think that's
I
the
think so.
confusion here. It's,
Okay, here's my question. I want to understand the capacity. Okay, there's a 12-inch pipe on Heather Drive. Let's say, is that pipe at full capacity right now?
you're asking two questions.
That's-
One is,
I'll ask for one
no, I believe, let me be clear, so I think we're all a little bit confused here. Are you talking about the system as it is designed? That's what AECOM.
As it is designed, as it is existing.
No, but that's what AECOM did their modeling on. Next question is, what is
Does
the
it pass?
maintenance status of it?
Right, does it pass water?
So are you asking for the maintenance because we already have the
Okay,
system.
so what you're saying is that theoretically AECOM looked at the atlas and looked at a 12-inch pipe and assumed that pipe would carry so many CFS.
That's what they did their
Okay,
analysis on,
perfect.
yes.
That's not what I'm
Right,
asking.
so what you wanna know is that pipe actually
Is
moving
that pipe
water?
actually carrying
Well,
the flow?
that's
Yes.
That's what
when
I'm
we jet,
asking.
when we jet these
Yes.
lines to
And we
clean
have
them,
that information.
Can we
Yes.
please produce that?
Yes, and we have that information,
I want to see
yes.
that information.
That we have.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Do we
That's
turn, and do we turn that information over to Giorgio?
Yeah,
Yes.
he has all that stuff.
Yes.
I think what, but is it, so Chris, is expensive to scope these pipes with a?
Why would you do that?
I'm just asking the question. I don't know, is this a
It is
$500,000
expensive.
job? Is it 200?
It's,
$20,000.
yes, to televise all those lines is expensive. Yes, to
What's
get a company to
expensive?
come out and televise them.
it's likely gonna be in the hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
of dollars, not the tens of thousands.
Okay.
Yeah, we were looking for a price to do that in the Garden
Asking,
District
just
for
wanted
their
to know the
system,
cost.
the system over there, and the price came in at approximately, the Garden District was not that large, was about $120,000.
Okay.
So, yeah, it can get significantly expensive.
What I'm saying is that we can't go with a half-baked, if we are serious about what we're doing, and I believe we are, that we decided to embark on a path to understand whether, there's another alternative there, we have to have the baseline data that is complete, not theoretical, complete baseline field data. It has
May I
happen.
try to
I mean,
translate and
otherwise-
also
otherwise we're
simplify?
gonna get out here and
Okay,
make a
okay,
bad
okay,
decision.
let's,
We're gonna
let's,
make a bad decision otherwise. I don't wanna make a
all
bad
right,
decision.
let's focus here, Frank, and then we're getting ready to,
Just
we've
to
been
try
up
to
here too
simplify.
much, too long.
Here's my take. I think a year ago at least, we established with credibility You were standing at the podium, both of you guys, that the system is maintained and that as maintained, it is functioning. Separate second point, AECOM concluded that the capacity, the drainage capacity of the system was inadequate for projected conditions a long time ago. That analysis is being second-guessed, looked at. That's the alternative too.
But it's, okay. Boy, it's hard. Because what I'm trying to explain is that you have got somebody that's gonna come in and say, we could make a bad decision if we don't really understand exactly how that system operates. Like I said, we're gonna get into the battle of the engineers, and it's not gonna be right. We're gonna have somebody here that's gonna tell us, yeah, you can go ahead and use those pipes. And now we're gonna find that it has roots inside, or that the pipe is collapsed. I don't know that. All that I know is that AECOM made a theoretical
But we do
decision.
know that because we maintain the system every year.
Right.
Well,
And our expectation, if GIT comes up with a system that is going to integrate our existing pipes into their recommendation, is that would have to be a part of the plan, without a doubt.
I want to make something very clear. I'm not defending one option or the other. I want to make sure that both options are clean when they stand on the table in front of this council. That we know and we understand that we're going to make a decision. We're going to make a decision for the right product and the right deliverable. That's what I'm fighting for here.
I think what Steve just said is critical on the GIT, whatever they're going to come up with, because the efficacy of the pipes that are in the ground right now
It's very, his
has to be
design is very
established.
contingent on the utilization of those.
Some he might be able to use, some he might not. But first, he's got to determine the placement of the pumps before he can determine which pipes he may or may not
And
use.
then if we decide that we want to move forward with that, we can take the price, that evaluation into consideration in the overall
But if
price
those
structure.
pipes
Yeah. But no, it's.
No, I understand, I
just hear me
understand
out
what
for a
you're
second.
saying, Councilmember Vasquez. Some of those pipes might be unusable, some of them might be cracked, some of them might be inefficient, they might pass some water. Or is it the full amount of water that could pass?
Or some might be usable.
Don't know,
Let's
but-
go into the scenario you just stated. What if those pipes is unusable? Then that means that the engineer now is gonna recommend a new pipe, which is going to increase the construction cost.
Yes.
No, and I mean, the
But-
well,
No, but all we're at is a concept phase. We can't assume we know what GIT is going to recommend until they recommend it. And if they choose to use our existing pipes, then we certainly are gonna have to go in and evaluate those pipes to be a part
Okay,
of that
just to
system.
be forewarned, I can't accept a half-baked design.
Okay. We're talking about infrastructure, and I think we've come to the end of the line here.
Well, we do have village facilities, lots going on. I mean, I don't know how much you wanna jump into it, so whether you just wanna jump to the map and Chris can go over that, or to the funding,
Go to the map.
and just, let's go to the map and talk through,
I got some good news for everybody.
go to the map.
Good news.
What's that?
The real house.
Completely unrelated to this, but the village and most people in the village. Insurance companies this past year, you probably heard about, have done very, very well. Lots and lots of money. As a result, right now, some of the rates they're quoting
Are going
are
down.
way down. I'm talking about people who are paying $23,000 now getting quoted at $14,000 to $15,000. And what's more, they're actually competing for business. Before you beg them, now they're competing for business. Three things. One, they did away with assignment benefits, if you're familiar with that, where basically a roofer would come to your house and say, oh, you got a couple shingles up your house, I get your new roof, just sign here. He put a new roof on, the insurance company came out, says an emergency. They've done away with that. The next thing they've done away with I don't know what kind of lawsuits you wanna call them, the phony or the nasty lawsuits, whatever. And then, of course, the third thing was not having any hurricanes. So those things all together, it's really the first time I can remember in years that they're actually looking for business and competing.
So Ed, just,
Good news brought to you by Ed London.
Ed, do you have some firms that you know that are quoting, other than, do you know anybody that's quoting Windstorm other than our,
No, I just saw 3 different companies quoting Windstorm and Key Biscayne. I was shocked.
do you know the names?
Yeah, I'm looking for it. I can wait now.
Great.
All right, village facilities.
Village facilities. So village facilities, the majority of our efforts are kind of centered around the community
Windstorm's
center, as you guys can imagine. Upgrading the sanitary sewer system that uses a pump system in the garage downstairs, and we're looking to convert that over to a gravity pipe out to one side or the other. That is being designed. We've already determined that it is possible to be done, but we're going to go through the design phase
Why?
of that now. Excuse me?
Why?
Why eliminate the pump? The pump system there is having issues in the sense that we've had multiple overflows with it. It fails quite often, and when it fails, it's very hard to get anything moved out of there. So a gravity system will function much better.
Okay.
The grinder pump stations are high in maintenance. There's a lot of reporting that comes in with them. You got to report to DERM anytime you have a spill, monthly readings. The system has to be cleaned out so often.
Okay.
Yeah. Gravity system will be much less expensive in my operating cost. Installing a backup generator, the current generator was undersized. It only operated the emergency lights within the building. So when the power came out, the building had to be shut down because they couldn't operate. There was nothing functional there except the emergency lights. So we're going to install a much larger generator that's going to run the entire building. We've already procured the design engineer to come in and look at that. We just actually met with him last week. The facility and program assessment, this is something being conducted by Todd and Colleen. Were you involved in that, the facility assessment?
No, so what that is, and Todd, if you want to jump in, you may, but let's do this quickly, is basically it is looking at the facility as it's currently used from a space perspective as well as a programmatic and trying to optimize that space to meet what we're trying to do. And also try and maybe recommend, timing, space, and location. Anything else?
Software, space changes,
Repurposing.
repurposing, and then putting that versus what we could get with the existing space and then comparing it to what we could get with an expansion.
So it's really kind of a renovation versus an expansion analysis. But focusing primarily on renovation to see if it's makes sense.
We are repairing as you heard earlier, we had some major challenges with the ACs after the incident that occurred. Actually, one of the units, the one that's down right now, is going to be replaced fully. That's one of the 2 units. We have 2 units, 2 new units going into the building. We're going to try and get those both done at the same time. We're already working on with the contractor to come in and get those units installed. The roof, I'm gonna ask Todd to give you guys, the roof work was done. We haven't seen any more leaks in the roof. We did some extensive repairs with all the soffits, all the parapets, throughout the roof. The flat roof really brought it up. Actually went back into the metal roof and did some repairs in the metal roof that had deterioration in the metal itself. So they had some rust spots and some holes that had penetrated.
Do we think that the repairs are putting off having to put in a new roof? The roof
yes.
is 20 plus years?
No,
It's 21 years.
21.
Okay, and what, we'd gain what, 5 years or 3 years or?
Really hard to tell in this environment. We are coastal community right on the water. It's very harsh on all our mechanical systems and the roofs. They take a beating. We hope that we have extended the roof life 5 to 10 years. 10 is a big cross your fingers and let's see if we can get there. But certainly, we think we can get 5 years out of this roof.
You put it with silicon this time?
I'm sorry?
You put in, you mop silicon, or what did you do this time to the roof?
Yes, they did a coating on the roof
Silicone?
and they redid all the parapets
Yeah, with
up the
silicone?
walls and the top of the walls where there were cracks in the,
With
yes,
silicone? Yeah.
yes.
that's probably good at least for 10 years.
And should,
Metal should last much longer.
and to Mike's point, should we start saving for that new roof? Is there a way to do that?
Start saying, we certainly do need to plan ahead for a roof replacement, and that'll be a significant cost,
Long
yes.
time.
But we had the same issue with the fire department, right?
Similar. The fire department has a metal roof on it, the metal roof replacement, not yet.
40, 50.
The issue with the community center was that you had multiple
We had
roofs
multiple roofs, yeah.
tying into each other, and they weren't all built at the same time, so there was, the joints weren't matching up, and
We don't really have
Yeah.
much leakage in here. This
Yeah.
is, we don't have that many.
Yeah.
And nothing really in the community, in the.
Village Hall either.
Well, I think what Joe's talking about is we're taking the total lifespan of the asset, and we're saying that the amortized life of the asset is 40 years, and taking 5% of the asset every year, putting that money away in a reserve account, and saying maybe not earmarking it, but setting aside for the replacement of the building. That's the kind of
Right.
conversation we've been having for a while, and I don't think we do that as a normal course of business.
I mean, is there a reserve function that we could use to do that?
We could set.
We could, right now we have plus or minus about $25 million in reserve.
But we don't.
Could we earmark it? Maybe. I think that reduces our flexibility. We don't want to necessarily earmark it from a ordinance perspective. We could earmark it from a programming perspective if we want to do that. And that's something that I think that's also a topic that I think we should talk about in May
Strategically, yeah.
as we go through the council strategy session, because that would set us up for the budget workshop and going forward. So, so I think the capital plan, that sort of thing, also obviously this
I mean, that's the same thing with roads.
property tax thing is going to be a conversation as well at the strategy session.
I think that's the same thing with roads and all these other infrastructure repair items. I mean, they have life, visual life, the generators, all these things have visual life. And, are we setting money aside for these or not? And it's a different philosophy of business.
Right. All three facilities, the community center, the fire station, and Village Hall are all, as the manager said earlier, had their 25-year certifications coming up. Actually, they're off by 1 year, but there's going to be 2 next year, and then one that's due the following. We're going to do all 3 at the same time.
Completed in 2004,
I'm sorry.
the 3 buildings?
No, 2 of the buildings were completed in 2004, and 1 was completed in 2005. I believe Village Hall is the younger one.
Yes, yeah.
So
No, it's the older one.
Village Hall.
Yeah.
So it was, if I remember, I don't remember exactly. Let me not.
This one, that one, and
All
then
3 are going to be done next year, though. We're going to do them all at one time.
Community center.
The 25-year certification. We'll be
Last,
ahead
yeah.
on one of
Yeah,
them.
community center was the
Yeah.
last.
The fire station, this room was gone through as converted to be able to multi-use for a theater. Standard mechanical MEPs, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and structural maintenance repairs we do regularly on all 3 facilities. Village Hall, the building department that's being renovated, and again, the same as this building. Security cameras were installed at Village Hall, and over in the community center, their CCTV system was upgraded also.
Briefly say to everyone what's involved with the 25-year certification?
The 25-year certification will look at the building as a whole. It'll look at everything from the electrical systems, the fire suppression, the plumbing. They do a full survey of the building. The roof will be looked at. So will the structural integrity of the building. And we'll have a full report that tells us any deficiencies on the building completely.
And that's
They
a,
changed the 25-year requirement. It used to be, or the 40.
It used to be 40,
It was only electrical and structural.
Yeah.
correct.
Now includes plumbing?
It,
Nothing?
it includes, the last one I did included plumbing, yes.
Life safety.
Yes. Full life safety.
Life
yes.
safety is a big part of it.
Yes. Fire alarm, fire suppression.
Doors, windows.
Correct. Doors, ingress,
Exit
egress.
lane, lights.
Yeah, life safety is the big one.
But it looks at the entire building completely. Yes.
And that's with the PE.
Yes, it is a PE, and he will certify, and he won't give us the final release until all the repairs are made. Whatever repairs he deems necessary.
Certification.
And that has to be turned into the building official.
So Chris, just if you could you put the chart up with the village assets? Okay, so I'm just trying to understand how this works. So if you look at the roof, for example, okay, on there, the Gantt chart shows that you're starting the roof repair in Q1 of 2006. So we're actually not going to do that repair.
226, yeah.
So we did roof repairs last year. We're looking at the ones coming up, and what we were looking at specifically is the portion of the roof repairs that is actually the internal work. So we did some of the roof repairs, but then there's some offices and some drywall that got damaged because of the constant leaking. So what's wrapped up into that 645 is the additional work on top of that, and that's what's gonna start later.
Okay, so this is not actually roof repair. This is the result of.
It's
damage
like a
associated-
bunch of roof issue related projects as a result, yeah.
Okay. So okay. Got it.
We can come back up? Yeah. You good? What else we need?
Just
Anything
trying to
else?
understand the chart.
Okay.
We're
Yeah,
good?
Good, thank you.
Okay.
So I think the mayor wants to get done, so this again is here. You guys can take a look at it. These are major initiatives that we're working on, and I'm happy to turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Joe.
All right.
Who's done?
Anything else for the good of the order here?
Appreciate the manager reading the room.
All right. Motion to adjourn is in order on this workshop. Thank you for coming.
Q&A session, wait a minute.